Hello everyone, Mr. MC here, back again with another video. And initially I thought I was going to be gone for a long time, but it ended up only being 3 weeks. Yeah, a much shorter break than what I initially anticipated. There is a bit of a reason behind why I decided to come back so soon. And if you want to know, I guess just let me know in the comments down below. But for the most part, I've kind of just been busy at work and then just fooling around whenever I have free time. And yeah, things are alright over here so far. But for today's video, we're going to take a look at the newish lap time challenge over at Le Mans. And this is a one make with the BMW McLaren F1 GTR race car. And yeah, I already did set a lap time the other night. That was on the controller. I only spent like 10 minutes on it, so I decided, you know what, we're gonna get on the wheel and we're gonna go ahead and try to set some laps and try to get used to this car, because that's already going great so far. Already hitting the wall just before I even start the lap. And I will admit, I am kind of rusty. Actually, not kind of rusty, I'm really rusty, because it's kind of just been taking me a bit of time to get used to how the cars handle again, because I haven't been playing GT7 as much lately. And yeah, also learning that this car, you can brake a bit later, because I already went off track from braking too early and turning in too early. So we're gonna go ahead and try again, and hopefully this time I can make it just a little further out, or even just complete a lap. Turn number 1, which is this right turn, no big deal at all. Brake a little bit later for the double chicane and get a better turn in, and actually kind of just playing a little safe, still trying to get a feel for the car. And then oh yeah, I forget about this. This is where I realized that the collision penalty is a thing in this time trial challenge, because I'm going to hit that cute little cone on the right, and that's going to invalidate my lap time. So I was like, huh? What the heck happened there? So we're going to go ahead and try again, and hopefully this time I can make it just a little further out, except I had massive skill issues at the double chicane and braked way too late. But luckily the next time around I was able to go much further out, getting ready to close out this lap, and just trying to be a little careful through the Porsche curves. Again, still trying to get a feel for the car on the wheel. And again, just keeping it nice and easy. Being a little careful through here, because here it's really easy to go a bit too wide and get your lap time invalidated for going off track. The final chicanes, this can be a little scary depending on how hard you send it, so I'm just going to try to keep it a little safe through here. Brake nice and early for the final chicane. Go up to second gear, nice and careful on the throttle. And we're going to go ahead and get a 341.2, so already 2 seconds faster than my previous personal best. And I think this, at least at the time of the recording, this put me already within the goal time range, but I want to see if I can go under 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump back in and try to improve my lap time. Alright, so the nice thing is that now I have a ghost that I can compare myself with. So I have the ghost with a 0.2 of a second offset, so the moment that I pass the ghost, I'm already 0.2 ahead of them. And right away I'm gonna go ahead and pass the ghost going into the Dunlop chicane. So there's quite a bit of time that I was able to shave off just in that chicane alone, and that kind of makes me wonder how much more time could I shave off. And I guess another question is, how much more could I push this car and myself to try to shave off that time? But so far things are going pretty good. Going into Tete Rouge, so far so good, making use of the entire width of the track including the curves. But so far doing pretty good. And in a moment we're going to go ahead and skip towards the very end of the Mulsanne straight. There we go. So jumping on over to the end of the straights and just braking a bit later, trying to be a bit more brave through here. There's quite a bit of time that you can shave off if you get this turn nailed down just right. And yeah, you can see I'm already about, I want to say about a second ahead. So this is where I kind of realized, like, okay, I could definitely get a 339 and then maybe just call it a day there. But there's still quite a few turns left, so I do have to make sure that I keep it nice and tidy through the rest of the lap, being a bit more brave going into Indianapolis. And actually that's not too bad right there. Into Arnage, gonna brake just a little bit late, so I do miss the apex a bit there, lose just a little bit of time, but we're still quite a bit ahead of the Ghost, so I think 3:39 is still potentially possible with this lap time. I just need to make sure I actually complete the lap and get ready to enter the Porsche curves. So I do want to be a little careful getting into the Porsche curves, try not to enter it too hot. And actually, I want to say that was a little bit safe, but it was still pretty good. And just be a little careful through here. And just a few more turns to go. You just got to be careful with this left turn coming up. And yeah, this is where I unfortunately just go a little too wide. Just going off of the curves, and my lap time is invalidated. And unfortunately, this is going to begin a chain of events where I just start to consistently mess up, going off the track, kind of getting a bit too deep at Tête Rouge. And guess what? I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Just turning just a little too early and get my lap time invalidated. So let's go ahead and see if third time is the charm. I think that's how the saying goes. Third time's the charm. Gonna get the turn in just right, but then I'm gonna go too wide. So that's another lap time invalidated. Now this time going through the Dunlop chicane. Unfortunately, gonna get on the throttle just a little too early and end up going wide. So it's another lap time down the drain. And once again, Tête Rouge. Tête Rouge ended up giving me quite a few problems. And this time, actually, it wasn't Tête Rouge that gave me problems. It was actually the S's. Because ended up touching the grass and yeah, ended up spinning out. But luckily this time around I was able to do a little better. So we are getting ready to start the new lap. So gonna try not to mess things up. So gonna try to be a little more calculated this time around. Go through the dump chicane, get a bit of a better turn in, and actually do pretty good right there. So getting a nice and tidy exit out of the Dunlop chicane. And here comes the kind of scary part for me at this point, the Tête Rouge that goes onto the Mulsanne straight. Gonna see if we're gonna try to get a decent turn in. And okay, not too bad. Try not to go too wide. There we go, making use of the entire width of the track. So far things are going pretty good. Now skipping over towards the Porsche curves. Here I did hesitate a little bit, so that will cost me a bit of time. But we're still ahead of the Ghost by quite a bit, so doing pretty good. And I do have to be a bit careful coming out of this left turn. You're going to try to play a little safe. And yeah, I played it a little safe, but that might have cost me just a little bit of time, but I was able to make it out of that turn without a track limit penalty. Final chicane. Going to try to send it a bit more. There we go. Try to get a good final chicane, and we are good to go. So with this, I was able to get a 3:39.7, so already under the 3:40 time range. So I'm already pretty happy with this. But now the question is, could I bring my lap time down to a 3:38? Might be a bit of a tall order, but if I were to get a 3:38, that will put me into the top 100 lap times in the world. So I think it might be possible. I don't know yet. Still a bit rusty, still feeling a bit rusty. So, well, there's only one way to find out, and that's by jumping back in. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so going into the Dunlop chicane, gonna try to be a bit brave through there. Already getting a kind of good exit, but unfortunately, yeah, it's gonna go ahead and spin around, turn into a little Beyblade. But luckily, it actually didn't take me that long to get into the 3:38. So this was right after I turned into a little Beyblade. So I'm gonna play out the entire lap and gonna get a really easy turn number one done. Dunlop chicane, gonna try to be a little more brave through here, make even more use of the track width of the curves, and get a slightly better exit compared to my Ghost. So I think I'm about half of a tenth up on my Ghost, and going into the S's, trying to be a little more brave, getting a slightly better exit. Here comes Tête Rouge, try to get the turn in nailed down, couldn't get really close, almost getting my lap time invalidated, but that was pretty good to the point where I'm slowly inching away from the Ghost. So At this point, I'm already 0.2 of a second up. So right now, my optimal is at 3:39.5. So things are looking up, but I still need to find another half second. So trying to find that time is going to be a bit interesting for me to try to get. And going through the first chicane, actually, car slipped out a bit right there, but that was actually a better exit compared to my Ghost. So slowly inching even more away from the Ghost, and you can see that I did get a better exit. Now there is another chicane coming up, so that is something that I will have to try to be a bit more careful about, because this one's a little sharper than the first chicane we just went through. Try to play it nice and careful, nice and easy on the throttle, and I think that was a little too careful, as I did end up losing a bit of time compared to the Ghost. So unfortunately, that's going to make my life a little harder to try to get into the 3:38. But luckily there's still quite a few turns up, so maybe I'll find more time elsewhere. Gonna brake as late as I can for the end of the Mulsanne straight, and here I'm actually gonna just beautifully touch the apex, get onto second gear, and get on the throttle, and that was a really nice turn for me right there, and gain just a little more time away from the Ghost. And yeah, I think at this point I'm just slowly inching more and more away from the Ghost. Now I will need to be calculated going into this right kink that leads into Indianapolis, as if I get this down, I will be able to gain a bit of time, lift off our throttle, going into this right turn, brake when the curb on the right ends, and actually brake just a little bit too late for Indianapolis, just barely missed the apex, which means I will lose a bit of time. But luckily for Arnage, I do brake right on time, beautifully touch the apex, go into second gear, nice and early on the throttle, and basically just launch out of Arnage and start to gain quite a bit of time compared to the Ghost. So that will give me a bit of a buffer, but I still need to find a few more tenths of a second to get into the 3:38s. So I'm going to try to be brave through the Porsche curves, brake as late as I can, try to get a nice and easy transition into these high-speed corners, try to carry as much speed as I can, nice and easy off our throttle, a little bit of braking for this right turn, and just try to be really careful through this left turn, try not to go off the track, and a little more brake through there. And at this point, I am ahead of the Ghost to the point where 3:38 is 100% possible. I just need to nail down these final chicanes and just try to be a bit careful through the final chicane. Get on second gear, get on the throttle as soon as I can, and we are going to get 3:38.8. So luckily, just poking into that time range, getting to 3:38. So I was really happy with that. And at the time of recording, being in the top 100 in the world. So, you know, I guess I'm all right, even though I'm super rusty. Just need a bit of time to get myself back into the rhythm. But yeah, this was a pretty fun lap time challenge, and yeah, that's gonna be it from me. I don't know how to end this video. So this is Mr. MCA, and I'll see you in the next video.